Why hello there friends and welcome to my obligatory top 5. Today I'll be going over my top 5 choices of this year that I have played on the channel and have been games that have struck a chord with me in some way, or I just really enjoyed, or just genuinely loved every aspect of them for the most part. So without further ado, let's fucking start this shit. Number 5 is Saku Saku, a game that I still haven't even finished yet, but I already know it's on my top 5, just because it has, it's very colorful, the art's amazing, I love the story, well, the stories from the different routes. There have been times where the route stories I've been like, yeah, but for the most part, I genuinely enjoyed them. But also, this game is really good when it comes to detail in terms of what's going on in the game itself. Like, there's back sprites for the character, so you understand more of you have more of a perspective of where your character actually is in the scene. You have, like, in the background, there's multiple characters drawn. You don't normally see that anymore. And it even changes during the times of day. If there's a nighttime background, of course there's not going to be a lot of people in the background. You might see one or two, but other than that, you won't see anybody else. Or during the day, there's a ton of people, and it just exudes. It just has that much detail, that much polish. It's a fun story. It gets serious sometimes with some of the themes, but some of the themes are also kind of like hidden if you're not really like too focused. Like, for instance, the Yuri route, there was some suicide undertones that I didn't really catch because the game didn't really fully explain it to me. But other than that, I'd say this game definitely belongs in my top 5, and it did come out in 2014, but the English release was this year. That's why I loopholed it and was able to put it on here. So that is my number 5, Saku Saku, brought to you, us, Brain, Space Marines, by Palette and Sakai Project. Well, I couldn't have a top 5 list without putting Libra the Vampire Princess on there, you know? It's just got such a... It's got I'd say it's got a really well-written story, though at points the writing is slow, and then it like amps up to like escalation levels of ridiculousness, and you're like, oh my god. But other than that, it's a really good story, depending on the routes you're going down. I'd actually say I liked all the routes, except, well, I liked all of them. There wasn't really one that I was just like, man, I did not like that one at all, actually. All of them I liked in their own way. All the characters are fun. The art's amazing. It's got comedy, action, vampires that are different than what you think vampires are in this, in our day and age. In the context of the story, normal humans are thinking, oh, these are vampires, but they're not actually vampires. They're kind of just aliens because they come from a different planet, and that's just that's a kind of a cool concept in my mind. Like, when I halfway through the story, when you figure that out, I was just like, that's kind of cool, because you think it's just they're just vampires. Not really. That's what they do to get life force and this and that. All in all, I'd say definitely pick this one up if you want. It's got my shining recommendation. I played through every single route, enjoyed every single moment of the game, and yeah, that's my number 4. Brought to you by Mikandi Japan and Bad at saying names. What happens when you, like, mix together gender bending, like, animal parts on people, and a crazy setting along with being in Australia? This is literally that game. you, you literally get Max's Big Bust at my number 3. Max's Big Bust, I just can't describe it. It is wacky. It's silly. It's a really well put together game. The story is nutso. The art is really awesome, and it's unique because it's not it's not that, like, anime-ish. It is an anime-ish art style, but it's done with their own take on it, and I really digged it. I digged it more than the art style of the previous game, Gender Bender Twister Extreme, which I could not play or anything, but this game came along and I didn't even have to play that one game to enjoy this one. This one was just a straight up blast. It even has detective segments where you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on during anything. You know what I mean? I can't really say, I can't say anything bad about it. There's nothing. That's why it's at my number 3. Because it's just play it for yourself. Or watch it, or something. You'll fully understand once you do. I'm highly looking forward to being able to finally play the next installment, Aluna and Bree, which is coming out shortly. And by shortly, I mean I don't know. But well done, Latched Up Games, for bringing us Max's Big Bust. And I hope you continue to do really well in your work, because holy shit, it's amazing. My number 2 is Chrono Clock. I know I say this about all my top 5s, but this one has a very special place in my heart, just because every single route in this game had made me shed tears. Every single one, even for the character that I didn't really care about the most. And that says something. I'm an emotional guy, but at the same time, when you make me cry in every single route, you know you're doing something right. Every single route was interesting. Every single route had its own different thing going on with it. Like, not super... It wasn't like cardboard cutout anything. It was, in my opinion, fairly unique. You have a guy who has this stopwatch that can bring him back 5 minutes, bring him 5 minutes back in the past, but the story is not really about that. The story is more about him dealing with his problems without using it. And yeah, he does use it, but he doesn't use it as much as you would think, specifically during the routes. You know what I mean? Like, and oh, it's just right. It's got great story, great art. My favorite character of 2017, Michiru, cause hashtag Team Michiru. She's the best, by the way, and she's got a body pillow, and I kind of want it. But you know, if you want a story that's got time travel, fun characters, and not really anything normal, I'd go for Chrono Clock. My number 2, brought to us by Purple Software and Sakai Project. Before we move on to my number 1 of this year, I just wanted to take some time to show off some honorable mentions of this year. Games that I enjoyed a lot, but they didn't quite make the cut for the top 5, but, you know, I still wanted to mention them anyway. So, here you go. Without further ado, here's your honorable mentions. And at my number one is Love Ribbon. Throughout this year, whenever someone would ask me what my favorite game of this year was, without a doubt, I would always say Love Ribbon. It's not a long game, but it doesn't have to be to portray what story it's trying to tell. It's a story about two sisters who were essentially separated from each other their entire life and end up living together, and they end up falling in love, and that is a very taboo thing. And this game has gotten a lot of, like, well, I guess you could say controversy in a way, but not like to make it not do well, you know what I mean? Everyone has said this game is amazing, and I do too. This game probably pulled at my heartstrings more than any other game this year, especially after Raz released the After Story DLC, which kind of wrapped up everything. With, like, we had questions about would their dad support them, or, you know, things like that, and it all tied together really well. It's got love, it has comedy, it's got really heartwarming and heartbreaking moments if you allow it to. And I'm really happy that I was able to play it this year and that it was released this year. So that's why it's my number one. And it's funny. You'd probably think that a longer game would be at my number one of this year. No. You don't need, like I said before, you don't need to have a long game to portray what you're trying to portray. And, you know, of course, it had sexy scenes in there too, so, you know. But yes, Love Ribbon, my number one of this year. Brought to you by Razart Visual. Before I close out this video today, I want to thank you all for watching it and just in general sticking with me throughout this entire time. I always say this every year, but honestly, I never expected to get as many subscribers or even as many views as I even get. Some might look at my views and say that's not a lot, but, you know, in my opinion, it is. And I just want to thank you all and hope we have another year where I can create a silly top 5 of something. Or, you know, play all the games coming out in 2018. I'm really looking forward to it. New visual novels, new anime games in general, and I think the future is looking honestly pretty bright for the channel. And I know a lot of people say this corny shit, but honestly, this channel wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for you guys. So I just wanted to thank you and have a good New Year's and stuff. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.